everyone. Welcome to the channel Knowledge Star, Continuous Knowledge Excellence. My name is Karuna Singh. Namaste. Today on our show, we have a very special guest, Dr. Devendra Ridhurkar, Senior Scientist, Formulation Expert, Neurax Pharmaceutical, Barcelona, Spain. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Okay, so we will start with the very first question. That is, share your experience as a formulation expert at Neurax Pharma, Spain.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me as a guest for this very important or a very useful platform of the Center of Legal Excellence to interact with you about the formulations. So about formulations, I am basically about me. I am a formulation expert with around 16 years of experience, and at present I'm working in Barcelona. My current profile is that I'm working on various dosage forms, particularly solid orals like tablets, capsules. But here I'm working as an innovative formulator. So I'm working on innovative formulations like modified release or nanotechnology for the long-acting injectables. And these injections are very useful for the personalized medications. For example, if the dose is too high, so then we can adjust the dose according to the requirement of the patients. For example, for pediatric people's, the dose is 10 milligram, then accordingly we can adjust. But the same drug for geriatric, it may be 1000 milligram. So that's my area that is known as the personalized medication. So I'm working on that at present. By education, actually, I am a pharmacist. So I did my graduation and then master's and PhD from IIT BHU. And then afterwards, I was working as a formulation expert in McLeod's. There, I was responsible for the development of formulations like solid oral and the liquids. In the liquids, I was working in the syrups, particularly the antitussives and the soft gelatin capsules as well. And for the solid, I was working on the modified release formulation. So I have expertise in the modified release formulations.
All right. So if I talk about a formulation expert, so what exactly formulation expert do?
The formulation expert design the formulations for the any generic or for the new molecules. He used the new chemical entity, then he mix the drugs along with the some excipients, because as such we can't give the API or the any drug orally, because we need to modify into any dosage form, like for either in the capsules or either in the liquid form or either into the injections. So that's the formulation come in that picture. So the formulation expert or the formulation scientist develop this drug into the oral or the parental or the any dermal product. It's easy to administer for the patients. So he do some research that first the compatibility, because he makes the drug along with the excipients that you are going to use, and then he will check the whether these excipients and with this drug whether it is compatible or not. If the excipients are very good, and then he will try some formulation trials like the compressibility or the solubility of the drug. If the drug is not soluble, then he will try to convert it into the solubilized form, because in order to get it absorbed into the body, it is very important the drug should have in the solubilized form, or it should have a solubility. So if it is not soluble, he will use solid dispersion. Like there are different techniques of solid dispersion, for example, hot melt extrusion, nanotechnology, or cyclodextrin complexizations, or milling the API into the nano size. And then he will convert it into the like dry powder or into the capsule, or he will fill this into the capsule, or he will compress it to the tablets. And then also he will check the stability, the formulation which the formulations expert develop, whether it is stable or not, or it is good for the patient or not. So they will also perform the clinical study in the human beings. And after the clinical study, the product will come into the market.
Okay, as you have used the term nanotechnology, all right. So if I talk about that, the nanomedicines, so what are nanomedicines? Because these days this word is trending a lot, that nanotechnology, nanomedicines. So what exactly is?
Actually, the API have the particular size. For example, it is in the always in the micro size, like 10 micron or 100 micron or 200 micron. But we need to reduce this particle into the nanoscale, maybe less than 1 micron, maybe 100 nanometer. And then for that, we need to use different nanotechnologies, the processes, the high shear mix, high shear milling, or there are some pressures that we need to use to reduce the particle size of the API. That is known as the nano system, because the particle size of the API or the drug is in the nano size. So, like for example, nano suspensions or nano emulsions. And then if you give this kind of formulations, either you can give it orally or you can give it by the injections. But more preferably, they are given by the injections, like nano suspensions or nano emulsions.
All right. So, what are the important components of formulating a capsule or a tablet?
Because these comes in the solid orals. So the first one is the excipient is comes into the filler, because we need to mix this drug along with the fillers. The fillers are like microcrystalline cellulose, lactose, or mannitol in order to make the volume. The second is, if the drug is not good in the flowability, then we need to convert into the granules, because as such the drug is not having the good flowability, good compressibility, and then we'll face the problem during the compression. So it's always better to convert this powder into the granules. So we need to use the binder. For example, there are various binders, poeton or hypromellose or sodium CMC. So these are the binders. Then we need to add into the blend, that is the dry powder. Then we need to convert into the granules. So that for that we always use the binder. The second is the like aerosol or the talc, which are known as the glidant, because after the granulation, the flow, in order to make the proper flow from hopper to the compression disc, it's better to have a good flow. So always we use the talc or aerosol or some other glidants. And when we use the high compression force, there is a possibility that the punch will stick to the, or the tablets will stick to the punch. So in order to avoid that, the formulation generally use the magnesium stearate, that is as known as a lubricant. And there are some, for example, there are some other excipients that generally formulation scientists use for the multi-particles formulation, the hydrogels, which have high viscosity polymers, or the coating of the polymer by with water insoluble polymers, like for example, surrelis or ethyl cellulose polymer, which are water insoluble, along with the pore former.
Okay, so if we talk about the methods or techniques, so what are the new methods and techniques are used in the drug formulation and development?
Now, as there are various processes going on in order to enhance the solubility, because the solubility is the major problem. So there are nanotechnology, 3D technology, that known as 3D printing. What happened in 3D printing? We give, like, it's a normal printer, but the printer cartridge is with the medicine. So we need to give the command with the print with the computer, and then it will print a tablet. So as I told initially during our discussion, the dose will vary from patient to patient. So the 3TB technology is very useful for this kind of patient, for the personalized medicine, and that is useful for personally the CNS system, central nervous system. For example, there are molecules for epilepsy, and the dose is from 500 milligram to 3 gram, and it's difficult to give the 3 gram. So with this 3DB technology, we can print the required dose. So if if there is a child and he need only 200 milligrams, so we can give the print that, okay, the print the 200 milligram tablet. So that's a new technology nowadays I'm working on, and that's really new processes for the personal medications. And another is the solid dispersion by hot melt extrusion. So in hot melt extrusion, we use the drug and the polymer is melted by using the hot melt extruder. And after melting the polymer, the drug is dispersed or dissolved in the melted polymer. And that's the reason the drug is getting solubilized. And because of this solubility, there is enhancement of the viability, because most of the drugs in the pharmaceutical industry, I will say 40 to 60% of drugs are water insoluble. And it's difficult for them to make it solubilized. So the hot melt extrusion is a new technology that most of the pharmaceutical companies are nowadays using.
What are the major obstacles in the drug development industry?
The major obstacle, the infrastructure and the cost of development, and also as I said, the molecules, because getting a new molecules is a big investment and it takes a long time. So approximately it takes 1 billion of drug, 1 billion of money to get a new molecule into the market. So mostly, and also afterwards, once we develop these molecules, we come to know that this molecule is not stable or they have some solidity problem. So these are some technical issues there are in pharmaceutical industry. And the third thing is the intellectual property rights.
Okay. So what do you recommend? A homeopathic drug or an allopathic drug?
Both have their advantages. Homeopathic, of course, this is the good without any side effects. But the problem is that it takes a long time to get cured. But in case of allopathy, this yeah, there is like they have some interactions or some side effects, but the effect is very good. And in allopathy, we have uh, the treatment for every disease. So, and I think homeopathy still we are facing some problems, and we don't have cure for medicine for every treatment, every disease.
But
So
we
I
heard,
prefer homeopathy.
correct. But we heard that there are many side effects of the allopathic drugs. So
Yeah, that's the reason that formulation expert with his knowledge, and so we can reduce these side effects by converting this formulation in the more modern way. So like instead of like the main side effects are because of its dose. So you need to adjust the dose according to the patient because every patient has his own requirement. So by using these new processes or new development, we can reduce the side effects.
okay. So there is a term ADME. So what is it and what is the importance of this?
The ADME is that absorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion, and that comes and also the pharmacokinetics. So these two terms are very useful in pharmaceutical industry, particularly for the clinical, because absorption is very important. Whenever you give any tablets or capsules, it goes into the stomach, it dissolves, but afterwards it should get absorbed into the bloodstream. So that's the absorption comes in the picture. But once the absorption done, what will happen? So it should go to the body. So that's one distribution should be done. And after distribution, of course, the body have the mechanism that they always metabolize the drug or anything that you will eat. So they will metabolize drug, and then finally it will get extract from the body. So that's the reason. And when we develop any medicines, we always consider this absorption, distribution, metabolism, and or in short, ADME, because finally the medicine should get absorbed and it should show the clinical effect. So we always perform the clinical study. In that, we study this ADME as well as the pharmacokinetic. And that's the reason we should go for the absorption, and for the absorption the drug should have in a solubilized form, and that's the reason most of the companies they start working on solubilization of the API, because absorption is very important to get the effectiveness of this medicine.
So what is the scope of homeopathic drug? I mean, homeopathic drug is better or allopathic drug is better? And what is
I prefer the allopathic drugs. They are better than homeopathic.
an allopathic drug has the more scope?
Yeah, they have more scope and they have the wide range of availability for the various diseases.
All right. Okay, last but not the least, what message do you want to give to our viewers?
First, one thing that the formulation business is now growing up, and there is a new technologies coming on, like the 3DP or nanotechnology or automatic extrusion or solubility enhancement by cyclohexane complexation. And the pharmaceutical industry is having really booming, and the pharmacist role is nowadays the people are acknowledging the role of the pharmacist. Initially, before 1 decade ago, it was not there, but nowadays the pharmacist plays a very major role. So yeah, the pharmaceutical education is very good, and I prefer that if the people want to make a career in pharmaceutical industry, so they have a huge scope in pharma industry. Either you can go in pharmaceutical company, or you can become a drug inspector, or you can go into the pharmacist, or there are various jobs that the after the pharmacist he can do.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for this wonderful interaction. And I would like to tell to our viewers, if you like this video, then please do subscribe to the channel. And for these type of informative and educative videos, hit the bell icon, subscribe to the channel, and share this video as much as you can. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
For more updates, subscribe to our channel, click the links shown on the screen to stay connected.